Thank you very much. And I'd like to introduce our first guest tonight, who's been on, I think this is her third performance with Dodo Modern Poets. Delighted to have Penny Faulkner back. She teaches in hospital schools. She's also a ceramist in a studio in Hoxton. And so it's a very welcome return, please, to Penny Faulkner.
Hello. This poem I actually found by mistake when I was looking for poems to read tonight. It's one that I wrote a few years ago. I'm part of there's a system of kind of poetry groups run by the Poetry Society, and I'm part of the Southwark one. And I think this was one I wrote for the first workshop I went to, and the theme of the poem was meant to be something to do with straw, I think. So this poem is called Drawing Lots. Midday light pricks holes in a straw hat. You doze and wake on the swell of loved voices, a benign and gentle sea. Over time, a thatched roof softens from yellow to grey like hair, the straw trimmed into a giant bowl cut. In a forgotten corner of the farm, strawberries nestle in baskets of rough grass, uncultivated and sweet as good fortune. Mucking out winnows our daily fluster. An hour is a stable of straw to be lifted, shaken and turned. Half the yield of a harvest is in the straw. Byproduct and crop, an optical illusion that can be seen both ways. Straw is the idiom of bad luck and brokenness, a barn of yellow bales and the spark of a moment. This next one is a little bit of a gamble. It's quite a long poem. It's kind of divided into 3 sections. And I was umming and ahhing about whether it would work reading it out loud. So if it doesn't work, I apologise in advance. It's called Winter in 3 Movements. And I think when I was writing it, I was thinking about how the change from winter to spring isn't always as instantaneous as we might like. Or as linear as we like, and it can feel as if you're sort of going backwards and forwards between seasons for quite a long time. I think what I'll do is probably just read each movement as if it's a sort of separate poem, so there'll be sort of 3 bits to it, just to give you a bit of a breather after each one. And there are 3 sections as well to each movement. So this is Winter in 3 Movements. Number 1, Gold. November. From the bell tower of a squint and broken faith, we look across a landscape tuned to gold. Speech dies as we drain beauty to the dregs, sunlight sliding down stone and moss like incense, and the trees blazing like candles, twisting a thread of wind to whisper, "It is finished. The world may begin again from here." December. As they peeled you of monitors that throbbed with your hope, you made one last effort to hoist your old self back to life. Words exploding like a sob, twisted to laughter, yellow paint bombs thrown at death. So, Doctor, this is bloody it then. You robbed the heart of darkness just in time. January. The other day, I saw daffodils for sale, skinny and green, forced early, and I thought of buying a bunch, but it isn't time for spring, not yet. Life remains in promises, the fat steeples of shoots that tunnel through black soil, a sheet of sunshine bleaching on the grass, trees like ink stains on a blue sky, thick with gossiping birds. Okay, and this is the second poem or set of poems. white. December. Today, the sky seems endless. Frost-sealed earth is a white page, bound by overgrown roads, and only the birds smear the occasional blot of noise across the silence. This is the way it must have been before we claimed the land with laughter and love songs and arguments and fear. It must have been just like this, scrub and wild grasses, spliced by the wind and devoid of our stories. January. I don't know the names of these trees, but winter has stripped them of leaves and berries and all the usual containers of loveliness. Skeletal and uncompromising, they lean like upturned brooms against a bank of earth and let the day pour into them, exposing branches like streaks of silver nitrate, the negative of beauty. February. Without much warning, life turns itself upside down as the vault of the sky crumbles, colonizing rooftops and fences, making every breath and glance a white noise of movement. Abandoned trowels and watering cans poke like wreckage from the snow, and spring is released from the grip of our plans and into the unexpected. Three. Green. January. Sunday morning. A clear road, the hills dozing like cats in a puddle of sunshine. Past and future are asleep for once in the passenger seat, and Radio 4 tweaks and tidies my thoughts like a capable friend. But somewhere ahead, the spine of winter stretches into a long unlit road and the swishing tail of danger. February. The air holds the warmth of slept-in sheets and the kindness of a smile, each walk a palette for new shades of being. Polished ivy leaves fold like wings around their shadows. The grass is as simple as a child's truth, and a blackbird's song uncoils like hope and sunlight through the trees. March. The seamstress of spring begins work before dawn, threading her song through all my complications, snipping rags into triangles, stitching celebration from house to lamppost to tree to ear to heart, until I wake up at last and call it joy. I've run. How much time have I got left?
Oh, do you want to do one or two more? Or?
I can do one more. Maybe.
Okay, yeah.
This poem is as I forgot your name.
Patrick.
As Patrick said, it's been a long day. As Patrick said, I am part of a ceramic studio as well. And so this poem, which is called Star of Wonder, is really about your hands and the different things that they do for us that we maybe don't always think about. And I think when you're making something by hand, you really think about actually how dexterous and amazing your hands are. So this is Star of Wonder. In the concrete by the front door, a newly laid handprint, like the image of a star caught forever at 1 year old. Within months, you have outgrown it, walking further and faster, chubby arms outstretched towards the future, where your hands are taken and moulded into usefulness, the point of a question, the spread palm of wanting, the scrunched up knot of fear. They become signs, tools, containers, your system for sampling the world. In your teenage years, the star itself becomes the object, trimmed and varnished and wiped clean to begin again, henna tattooed and adorned with cheap rings that change every week. On the pad of your palm, you doodle secrets. They fade quietly with time, until we end up here, with armfuls of boxes and a tiny rented room and a sky that is bright with hope. Eventually, I leave you standing on the pavement and pull away. In the rear view mirror hangs the image of a star, a vulnerable squiggle of life, poised at its beginning. Thank you.
Penny will be back to read more beautiful verse like that in the second half. But more applause now for Penny Faulkner.